To share some information, and I'm humbled by the invitation by Pastor Addison, Brother Lewis, and thank you also, Sister Jones, for that wonderful introduction. And I really want to thank the entire community for doing what we do, one piece at a time. I do these scriptures every now and then, plant the seed, and I'm a student of the Bible. And I really call it Christian in training, if you will. I love the word, and I use the scripture every now and then. I love the Proverbs. I love I use Proverbs. I use them all. Proverbs, programs, attitudes, I use them all. I throw one in there every now and then. This, I love the theme also, the theme of honoring our past and inspired by our future from the Proverbs 19:20. It's a beautiful piece, and it talks about listening to counsel and gaining wisdom. That is so evident in what is needed in our community, particularly our young people. So I want to lay out the appreciation for that. Qualifying again, just a little background, what got me into this mission, if you will, was experience. Learning from my past. I came from a challenging background, from the north. My mother, unfortunately, was an alcoholic. She was her right now. She was living well, and she was married at 60. There was a time when it wasn't so well. I mean, beverage short, I can't imagine anybody that knows this beverage called a screwdriver. I don't imagine anybody here knows what that is. But the key element in that beverage is fear, and the other is honesty. So as a young child, I'm seeing my mother throw back these, what I thought was orange juice, and had her lose her mind. Wrong place. So that's what I thought was the orange juice. That had to lose in her mind. Why was phobia of orange juice? It's like somebody else might not do anything effective. And I know, as members and power, right? So those things is one of those attacks that our family had. Substance abuse, attack, and all of that is a direct reflection of how it affects our young people. One problem creates another problem. And that was my problem coming up. So as an adult, I learned that there had to be a change. So I separated myself from that. And as an adult, that kind of propelled me into wanting to share some light information to help other young people who may be going through the same thing. So we can end this cycle of ill. So, why is it a immediate need, particularly for young people? I think we have a real hard task for us, particularly youth. And if someone wants to attack the community, I think they will go after the head of Jesus. And the head of the community is the male. And the male can defend himself, but the young male is a little bit more vulnerable with him. So the enemy goes after the young man, and he uses very strategic and clever tools to influence young people. The Bible uses a word called inculcate, which is repetitive teaching over and over again. But this person, this individual, he uses the same tool. He inculcated a real spirited message in the mind of our young people over and over again. We call it radio, or we call it music, we call it all these things. And it influences in the same way and the same tool. So we have a very challenge to overcome some of these negative influences. So we got to be just as clever as our leaders. And we have a tool that we use as well that we can inculcate into our young people. So that tool is just as powerful as the other. Right? So what someone addressed to me when I was and I put my print and I focused on particularly the youth and even more so the young African American men. Why? Because this particular entity, these young men, they are at the bottom of the barrel in every aspect of society, unfortunately. But they're heavy in terms of criminal history. We have the biggest, largest dropout rate in the state or in the world for that matter. The highest incarceration rate, the lowest entry in college, and the highest unemployment rate. We're in trouble, particularly in trouble. So when someone accuses you or criticizes me for specifically spending too much time on African American males, they say, well, what about the other people? And I said, I have nothing but love for everyone, but to give you a scenario, my scenario is this. If you're a lifeguard and you're on a pier and there's some people in the water struggling, right? Someone was swimming and someone was struggling. Who do you go after first? Come on, the ones who are struggling. Yeah. These young men are drowning in every aspect of our society. That's what my focus is. And that's my contribution to that. Okay, so one aspect of that is what we do with these young men is teach them how to think. One of my favorite scriptures in the Bible is Proverbs 8 of biblical safeguards. More specifically, when lifting in the heart, thinking of biblical safeguards. And that's a trick. Our society, our world does not want them to think. They want them to follow. They want you to follow, right? But don't be a follower, be a leader, right? But then you blow that up, and I said, wait a minute, but every leader must have a lead to follow. Right? And our lead is Christian Christ. Jesus Christ is our lead. The only real role model is Jesus Christ. Sometimes we have blessed good men, that's the only real role model. It's not these celebrities, it's not these athletes. That is our real role model. So when they start to think, and then we become a little bit safer in that regard. A good example that I share with you, using some of my personal experiences, is that sometimes in our environment, you don't think it might cost you your freedom, and it costs you their life, and it costs them their education. And it happens so often when I'm working with youth in this community. It's just impulsive. And the world wants them to think impulsive. They say the popular school of thought is your first reaction is the best reaction. And that's misleading as well. I tell you, no, that first reaction will get you thrown in jail, will get you killed, will get you fired from your job. Because it's emotional. We want your reaction to be thoughtful. So we want them to think first and then react. That's the faith way. So I want to be standing here and I can get a real situation. Well, I grew up in an environment in Los Angeles, probably the worst time in history to be in Los Angeles. My opinion was the hardest height of crack epidemic in the mid-80s. And I was going to high school at the time, and it was the worst time to be at the time. The drug stuff took over the community, but also there was violence and intolerance. People was getting, it was just violent, a horrible environment. So my motivation was, I got to get the heck out of LA. Find one way to get out. Don't let me do that and go somewhere to college, somebody university, and somebody separate myself from the environment. When the environment is out of control, you can't control it. You got to separate from it. You need a better separate. And if you can't separate physically, you separate yourself emotionally and spiritually separate. You can be in an environment, but you separate. Jesus was no part of this world. By his own estimation. He was in it, but he was separated from it spiritually. So we have to be in the community. You don't have to be consumed by the environment that you live in. No matter what the condition of that environment is, you can separate yourself from it. You don't have to get caught up in it. That's hard to get but there was a situation when I was invited to a party. And we have these buzzwords, what we call red flags. Now, at that time, you do not want to go to a house party in Los Angeles. That's the worst thing to do. That's the first buzzword. Now, here's how peer pressure is so powerful. Every friend of mine was like, oh, let's go to this party. Now, one of the biggest and most dangerous street gangs in Los Angeles at that time was called Rolling 60s. And this particular party was on 54th Street. Now, I'm not the smartest cat in the world. I'm on 54th Street, 50th, so I'm ready to go. So here comes peer pressure. Okay, they call me all kind of names, threatening, call me all that. That's peer pressure. forcing me to follow instead of lead. Right? But I held my ground because I was afraid. I was afraid to be afraid. And that's another trick that this new architecture is so fear is a possession. It's a thing called healthy fear. Because I fear and I value my life, so I fear it. If you value anything, you fear losing. Right? But that's the message that our community and don't get. Right? It says, I'm not afraid of anything. You need to be afraid of something. So here's the deal, I was afraid. So I said, you know what? I'm not going. So I go on phone, and within an hour, my mom comes bringing it out and said something happened. And she didn't have to tell me what happened. I knew. Live news. Someone that got me out of control. Some of those ill-spirited individuals came by. As a result, some people lost their lives. 5 or 6 young people, high school students, and several of them were very bad. And to this day, there was a notorious event that happened. And I would have been right in the midst of it. Had I did what? Thought about it. And not being afraid to be fearful. Not be afraid to fear. So that's the message that we, and that kind of thing, you know, that was 25 years ago. That is happening today, every day, in Orlando, in Fairfield, in East it's going over. So the cycle is now changing. But what has to change is the way we think to separate ourselves from the world. So I remember when I was out there, said, well, you know what? If it's my time, it's my time. I'm like, really? No, that's not true either, because you can dictate the quality of your life. If you live a high-risk lifestyle, then you increase the possibility of something happening to you. Is that simple? So it's not your time. You made it your time because you decided to separate yourself and you call up as a nonsense. That's just the real as I can put it to you. So, no, that's philosophy is flawed as well. The marriage, right? Talk about incarceration rate, talk about homicide rate. We talk about nowadays. How do we change these things around, right? Now, again, our environment may not change, but we don't have to be victims of our environment. I just give you an illustration, right? A hot bowl of water, right? Our environment is hot and saturated with hate and ill-spiritedness and ill-spiritedness and encouragement and violence. That's a symbol of a hot bowl of water, right? But if you put 3 substances in that hot bowl of water, it would have 3 different effects on it. It could. If you put an egg in some hot boiled water, spit it out, and then what happens to that egg? It'll start getting hard-boiled. It'll start to crack inside, right? If you put a vegetable in hot boiled water, what will happen to that? Yes, ma'am, it'll start to get soft, it'll start to get weak, it'll even break up, right? But you put one more substance in that boiling hot water. Put a coffee bean in some boiling hot water. Will it start to crack? No. Will it get soft? No. As a matter of fact, the bean will not be affected much at all, but the bean will affect the water. Right? It'll change the color, it'll change the texture, it'll change the aroma. It makes that water better. It changes the environment. That symbolic is what we need to be to our community. Our community cannot break us. It cannot make us crack. It cannot make us soft. It cannot make us weak. If we not you can't talk to me in every aspect of my existence. Not much. I'm humble, but a little bit I can do. Just one student or one basketball player or one individual that has been incarcerated, that's an investment. Now, we got to make this as a tool we can to improve the quality of life of our youth. The value, freedom. I find that our young people don't have these values that are instilled in us starting here. The Brother Richard Sunday School, that's a great start. Because that would instill values, right? I learned that we have a value system that it's going to be a lot tougher for someone to sway with some symptoms. If I value my life, I'm not going to jump in the car with someone who's been drinking. Because I value my life. myself incarcerated. That's how I value my freedom. If I value my education, I'm going to show up and I'm going to be in school and I'm going to do what I need to do to improve the quality of my education. I value that. If those values start here, then they will resonate eventually. Then things will start to change. Those things will get better. The aspect of us, someone tells me sometimes no man can move mountains, but we all are responsible for each other. And I'd like to share with you in any capacity when we're working with you, we're all responsible for each other. Okay? The congregation knows that, every community member knows that. I appreciate the work that the pastor Isaac is doing for the community. Because it goes beyond the church. And a good example is that it doesn't matter what your capacity is, whether you're an instructor, you're a parent, you're a mentor, we all have a part. If you know someone that needs to be here that's not giving this message, then you deliver it to them indirectly. Right? You deliver it to them. I see that you are, particularly our target group, these young African-American males, they're absent. They're absent in this church, they're absent in schools. They need to be here. They're living in action. So we can go and get them. If we can't reach them in the church, we're going to reach them on the basketball court like we do on Saturday night. We had a mandatory meeting for African-American males, considering how damaging our communities are. A series of a mandatory meeting. We have a serious situation, so it's time to meet about it. Maybe about 12 of us showed up. Maybe less than that. Why? Where are we? Well, we said we'll try something different. Listen, by the place of basketball, I sent out a text message. Hey, open gym, let's go play some ball. Within an hour and a half, I had close to 45 young men with one text message inviting them to play basketball. So we got to reach them through their channel. We got to go out there and get them. That's what I am. That's what we're going to go and get them. We got to go out and get them. Jesus went out in the field. He's going to make them come in. The responsibility on all of us, and I'm a family of my own, but I do have to take that responsibility. It's all my business when we have to deal with something happens to a young person. That's fact. Situation tells me that I was driving on Pintail in Sassoon. I have my young kids in the back, daughter and son who were at the time. And we were at this Chuck E. Cheese. They want to go have fun. Now, during Pintail, I saw another young kid. He was up in a tree. I mean, he must have been like 5 or 7 years old. Couldn't have been no bigger than that old. This kid was way up in this tree, about to fall in any second now. I instantly just pulled up, walked up to the gate, and said, "Young man, get out there, get down from there." I didn't know, but get down from there. Firm voice. And the kid saw me started like, how you are. And he started to come down. And then his mother again heard the motion. As the screen door was open, she came out. And her first reaction was, "What is the man doing? You're my child." That was the first reaction. I saw her reaction. Then she saw him off the tree, and then she reacted and said, "Okay, yeah, get down. I told you to get down." And she came and she got in the parent mode. Got down, the voice started making the sing, and then she gave me a little nod and said, "Thank you. You speak the word." She said, "I appreciate that." I get in my car. Then my kids are back, and one of them like 10, and he got a sense when somebody's kind of staring at you. These kids are staring me in the back, and I'm like feeling this pressure. I'm like, "What's wrong with that?" They said, "That was none of your business." We're trying to go to Chuck E. Cheese. That's none of your business. I said, "That's not a black and it's my business." When you hear about something happening to a young brother in Oakland or any part of the country, I feel it personally. Yes, it's our business. So if I can do what I can to make it my business, to help improve, then that's all of us. Our community. We go back to the whole concept of a community raising a child. It still works. It still works. And I also learned that when young people tend to know that you really can, respond differently. authoritative, ill-spirited, hand-on-the-neck type of approach and go nurturing, you may get a different response. You may get a different response. You can direct without being demeaning, right? You can do that. So if we start as leaders or even parents, anybody working in capacity, try easy. Try easy. Go a different route, and maybe you'll receive a little different response from the youth that you work with. And I think that's critical for us. The stigma that these young people take, I work with it in the proper way. We have a very challenging stigma attached to those people trying to get young people into the sports and work. It's challenging. And they have two strikes against them already. One is that they're young, and employers do not want to hire young people. Why? Because they have a very poor reputation. Emphasize, laziness, don't want to listen. Negative response, negative image, but there's stability to it. The other is also telling them not to remember that you can be a different ethnicity. That still exists too. So now you got two strikes against you already. So we got to work through those. We got to become employable, we got to become professional. Right? So one of our challenges is to get our young men to learn how to be responsible, be respectful, right? And be professional. Pull your pants up, be respectful, be the person in line. Just like a young man in the early 20s say, you're going to serve that. How are you? My name is Mr. Such and Such. That's impressive. Just come to person out and firm handshake. They shine like the sun. And we've been able to implement that at the Treasure Valley Job Corps. And I got to say, it's been effective. Because within 3 years, out of 122 centers, the Treasure Valley Job Corps happens to be the #1 rated training center in the nation right now. Negotiation and the stigma that young people have, I want us to try to change that. And they have a stigma attached to them, hard to overcome. Another illustration is me growing up in the foster care system, briefly. And one of my foster parents was a sweeter older woman, but she was kind of challenging. She had a dog, and the dog used to come into the house every now and then. And every now and then, the dog would do his business in the kitchen. Yeah, so I'm a kid. This sweet woman would go in and pick it up with her bare hand. And she was watching his family. Of course she was. But to a kid, those kids don't hear that clean. You know, we call it. Let's be like so this one would never, she thought something was emotionally wrong with her, emotionally deprived, or she was touch us. But we think, well, you need counseling. So on my last day, when my sister was going to pick us up from this fall, this woman came up to all of us, they were already at the car. She said, I know I'm a mission, she's that long. Some things you can do that can cause such a stigma that no one wants to have anything to do with you. My young male, these drugs and some of these crimes, they're hard to overcome. They're hard. So stay away from those things. You don't want a stigma to attach to you, and it'll be hard when you become even the already very, very bad. Last thing I want to share is everyone has an opportunity. And I share this with people. It's a moment of inspiration. Everyone that works with you, be a parent, an instructor, or a pastor with you. I want to give you this. I want to leave you with this. You make those around you better. You challenge people to stretch the boundaries of their comfort zone. You inspire. You lift up. You encourage. You really give back a fraction of all you give, and you do it all with a smile. From the outside looking in, people wonder where you get the strength. You push on without your environment, you take on so much, you give so much of yourself, you never think about the reaping the benefits of your rewards. You always in good spirits, you thankfully continue caring, sharing, and being a positive influence in the lives of others. You are salt. You are the epitome of the unsung. You are youth worthy. And I thank you for making a difference. And I thank you, God, for reminding me.